And I'm joined by Aaron and Grace of Web Rivers Meet. How are you guys doing?
Really good. Great to speak to you again, Lee.
No, always good to speak to you again. Speaking of that, thanks, guys, because you're now back in the lead as my most interviewed guest. It seems to be going back and forth between you and Troy Redfern. Isn't it?
Oh, nice.
So with this one in the can, you're back in the lead. So thanks for that.
Neck and neck with Troy. We're happy with that.
There's worse people you can be neck and neck with.
Definitely, yeah.
So yeah, thanks for your time. I know you got the Reef Tour started off this week. How's that all going? Because I saw a couple of weeks ago that Jack had a head injury or something. Is that still?
Yeah, we saw on social media that he'd had a head injury, so the first dates were cancelled. But it seems like these dates are going ahead, so we're off to Portsmouth tomorrow.
Portsmouth on Thursday, yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we're really excited to get into it. So and thankfully he seems like he's well enough to continue, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, because after the recent relatively similar story with Danny Bays of Thunder, where he really did himself an injury, that was recently in the press, and then heard about Jack. It's a bit concerning, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally,
yeah. Musicians, we need to be more careful out there.
Not enough good of them out there. We need to keep the ones we got.
Yeah.
Now with Ozzy having to throw the towel in and everything, all the you need to keep the ones that are still doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys recently announced your new single, "Play My Game," to the first one off the third album. Was that September? The new album coming out September time?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we're looking at sort of late half of August and September.
We haven't fixed the date yet. We're waiting on vinyl and stuff, so we can't sort of fix a date, but that's around then. Yeah.
So it was already getting good results. I saw it was already back on for another one for you guys for Classic Rock Track of the Week.
I know. Yeah, we've always had great support from Classic Rock. We're really lucky.
Did you approach this album any differently to the other three? I mean, it's obviously you had a great first album, but obviously that came out during the lockdown period when you guys probably wouldn't. I guess you didn't get to tour that properly. The first record.
No, not at all.
No, because we'd already released. Saving Grace came out in the November. Our tour kicked off in like the April, so we had 2 albums and 2 EPs to go out with at that point.
Yeah.
So it was a real mix of all of them. But funnily enough, we were actually sitting here now working out our set list for the next tour, and it's crazy because a lot of them, I think, are like really early. It's some of the really early stuff we're throwing in from the new album.
Yeah.
But it's quite cool because we still listen back to the older stuff and we're like, nah, let's put it in.
Yeah, we've got to do this one. We've got to do that one. Yeah, totally.
That's nice. So you approach the third album. I mean, I'm guessing with the second album, you had the sort of classic pressure of the debut that did really well on you guys. Did you feel that so much for the third one, or did you feel like by the first 2 being well received, so you've sort of built your fan base up and people trust you with what you're going to do? Did you feel that gave you the room to sort of go into areas that you weren't going into before as such and stretch your legs a bit?
Yeah, I think like the first album was pretty much, we just wanted to do music that we were creating at the time that we were feeling and things like that. And then the second album was very much a pressure because, like you say, the first album got such a good response with Fly Free. We thought this next album has got to be as good, if not better, than this other one. But this third album was very much a case of, I think the pressure was off, really, to be fair. But we feel that it has evolved quite a lot from the last album. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was definitely pressure. Well, I mean, there was no expectation at all with the first album. No one knew who we were. And so I remember being in the studio and saying, I think we need to get some PR for this because I think it's going to be really good, And so there was that bit of pressure, but there wasn't like our supporters are going to listen to it and critique it and compare it. So the second one there was definitely, we sort of realised how much that kind of pressure can stem your creativity if you let it. So we sort of learned a lot through that process, and then with this, maybe some of that helped with this last album we've just done. We just didn't feel it. We were like, no, let's just open up and go for it.
Yeah, don't feel the pressure, don't let it take over, type of thing.
That's cool. I mean, you guys obviously had like the fan side of support really early on. I remember before I heard you, Jo, as you know, my wife does art, and so she was at an art fair, and I was chatting to a guy there, and he's like, was saying to me, do you no, I don't do art, mate. No, mine would be a blooming stick man if I did anything, and I'd cock that up as well. But And he was sort of saying, what do you do? I'm sort of saying about my normal job, but also saying with stuff with radio show and with my own festival and everything. And he said, oh, have you heard When Rivers Meet? And I hadn't heard you guys at that point. And I was like, no, man,
wow.
I heard them. And he's going, oh, if you like this and you like that. And he was mentioning all the right things for me. So, you know, if you like this, you like that, you'll like these guys. And I was cool.
Wow.
I'll try and check them out. And then sort of coincidentally, within the sort of week of this bloke saying it to me, Pete sent over the first track I heard from you guys. And I was like, oh, that's, and it was nice to see that point, because normally, you know, when bands rising through the ranks, you normally hear something, you don't normally catch a buzz before you hear them sometimes, but it was nice to see it that way around. So you guys have had that foundation, I feel like, throughout all of it. Did you feel that building up through lockdown more because people were, you know, stuck indoors, and that they're now just stuck with you because obviously they like what you do?
Yeah, I mean, definitely because of the live streams, we definitely sort of built up a good community through that. And I think we sort of made a lot of friendships with people as well. We sort of, like, people were looking forward to coming on the live streams every week. We were looking forward to it. So we kind of, there's like a weird bond with people that went on those early live streams and stayed throughout. When we still see them, like we can name a lot of them, you know, that were there right from the start. And when we see them, we sort of wonder if we're ever going to feel that amount of connection with people who just find us. So yeah, it was like a really sort of, it's such a weird time. And I think it probably happened with a lot of people as well, where you sort of made, it was such different circumstances, different relationships were formed. Yeah, that probably, I don't know if that makes any sense.
And I think one of the things was as well, because when we were doing the live streams and you see people's names coming up, you know, consistently every week and things like that, but we didn't know who those people were until we couldn't put a face to the name, shall we say, until we met them on tour when they come to see us live. And it was so cool, and it was just so surreal, because you know these people have been talking to them and stuff like that, but you don't know what they look like. And now, you know, now we do, and it's just, oh, mate, it's awesome.
And also, like, people were so connected to all what we were doing. They knew everything about what had happened. And yeah, that's what social media, I mean, it's not great for everything, you know, but it's so great for
other things.
We really feel like we've been able to use it for the positive aspects of it, and like sharing our music and getting it out there. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, there is a lot more. I mean, yeah, we're all too keen to focus on the negative of social media, and there is that without doubt. I wouldn't question that, but equally there is, you know, my festival would have done as well as it has without it. You know, I managed to utilize that. Same with the radio show. You know, there's been some weird moments when I've been at festivals and other gigs and had people come up to me going, "Are you Lee?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You know who he is? And it's like, "Oh, I came to just push play," and I'm like, "Oh, thank God for that. I thought you were going to hit me." You know, I didn't know.
Yeah, what have I done?
What have I done? You know, someone makes a beeline for you. You kind of like, right, what's going on?
Yeah.
No, but it's easy to focus on the bad side of anything, but you know, it does have its positives for sure. You mentioned in the tour that obviously I'll be along to Norwich date, so thank you again for that, Aaron. Mate. Appreciate that.
No problem, mate. No problem.
I appreciate it. So I'll be coming to Norwich. You got Colchester Arts Centre. You got dates throughout the country, and then obviously you're going off with Reef as well, as we're talking about. Is there? You got some festivals lined up as well, haven't you? I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, we've got like Steelfest Festival, Steelhouse Festival. Sorry. We've got Old Fold again, which is great because this is the third year on a trot we're playing. They're sort of headlining for them, aren't we? So that's awesome.
We're doing the Joe Bonamassa Blues Cruise.
Yeah, the Blues Cruise.
Yeah, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got loads of different
Cornwall Rocks and all sorts of different things. Yeah,
we wanted to get further down south because they get left out a lot down there. So
and not only that, we're going up north to play at Whitby as well. So that's really cool.
Both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Cornwall Rock seems to get a good rap. I mean,
like
you say, they get sort of almost ignored by a lot of acts that end of the country, which is a bit sad. But me and Jay were in Cornwall. We were down in Holywell, and so we weren't that far from where it was. But unfortunately for us, when we found out about it, it was on like as we were driving away, it was happening basically.
Oh no!
Like the weekend we came back, and we sort of then found out afterwards. It was like, oh, we could have stayed another couple of nights and had a good time. But no, I know a couple of bands have played at like these Wicked Rivers and stuff, and they were saying it's a good shout. So it looks like.
Oh, nice.
I think that the local ones to us that we're doing the Cambridge Rock Festival again here, so that's really cool. And the Buras Festival as well. So I don't know if I said that right.
I don't think you
Viewers,
did.
viewers, yeah.
Viewers.
I'm never sure how to pronounce it either, Aaron, mate.
No.
But yeah, the Cambridge ones, I've been down there a few times. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it this year because it clashes with Just Push Play, unfortunately. So
Oh, right.
I'm
Okay.
like alone, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, I love doing it, but so it's just unfortunate afterwards when I have no idea what's going on, and it normally takes me a few days to get back on top of myself, sort of thing. But Cambridge Rock Festival is a good shindig. I know the guys over there; they put a good one on. Like I say, I've been to it a few times. There's only day clashing that's going to stop me this year. But you've got Ariel supporting on you this run of dates of your own, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We have, yeah. We met Ariel. We have the same PR person, and so we've been kind of following what she'd been doing. We went to see her supporting Beth Hart, and we instantly just clicked with her. We loved her music. She played a great set, and then, like, on a personal level, we really connected with her.
Yeah.
And she's a really open person, so it's really easy to kind of get on with her, and quite quickly, like, we were on the same page. So
just like Troy was at our first tour last year. So I think it's going to be really cool. Yeah,
and so it's really important for us to, like, for it to feel like a nice team of people together. So we're certain it's going to be a really great fit.
That'd be great. I mean, yeah, I spoke to her, it must be a couple of years ago now. It was when she released is it Analog Girl in a Digital World record? Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to chat to her then, and she just, like you say, such a great guitarist, great songwriter, and she was really just open. He did that thing again. Pete had sent me a track off that, and I really liked it. And he said, "Do you want to speak to her?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And I didn't know anything about her. I just heard this one song, and I really wanted to talk to her. And you think in those ones like, oh, how good an interview is this going to be? Because I unfortunately don't know much about you, but she was so great. And so I've been waiting for her. I missed her last time around when she was over in the UK, unfortunately, for some reason. And I can't remember why I missed it. But so when you announced that, I'm excited to see her on the show because I've not seen her live yet, so it should be good.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's going to be great.
But getting back to the album though, like, did any of the processes change, or is it same people, same team, same actions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's literally just myself, Grace, and Adam, our producer, who also plays bass and drums. And the formula works, and we always think that, you know, if it ain't broken, don't try and fix it, type of thing. And we just lived in the caravan, in the camper van for nigh on 3 months at his studio, and we just, I think,
as well, it's not even just a case of, like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. It's kind of, we've sort of spent so much time together now over the last few years that we don't really need to, well, like, we do, we constantly nagging, but we can communicate what we want to create with the song really easily with him, because he kind of already knows where we're at, so he can listen to stuff and he'll be like, yes, done, finished, we know what we're going to do with it. And so he's like a really good mind reader. And the prospect of having to work with someone else and start afresh, you know, it's
almost not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's really not. No, it's just such a great relationship we've got with ads now. So it's always a lot of fun recording.
Yeah, like you say, it's almost not worth doing anything else. If you've got that relationship, you've got that. We all know the frustration of trying to explain something that's going on in your head when you're writing musically, and it's hard to put it into words. It's certainly hard to put it down on paper. So if you've got someone that knows what you're talking about when you're talking, for want of a better term, complete rubbish while you're trying to explain what the noises are in your head, I wouldn't.
I know. I mean,
there was a point. Are you going to say?
There was a point, where I ads, and as well, because he's a multi-instrumentalist, like, he's able to actually do, like, he can play on the drums, he can do the bass, he can do the keys of what we are hearing. And there was a point where I was literally air drumming. He was like, and I was going, no, that's not quite what I've got in my head. And he was like, play it for me. And I was air drumming what I was wanting, and we were gradually doing it for ages and ages, and we finally got there. And it sounds great, and it's like, it's kind of it's really fun to be able to translate things like that when I am, like, no drummer, like, I can do the 2 beats and that's it, you know. But it's just a great relationship with him.
I think every musician on this planet is scattered stuff that's in their head just to try and get the rough idea. I wouldn't have borrowed. Right. I know I've done that for sure. So do you think Play My Game is a good indication of the rest of the album, or is there some more surprises to come?
Oh yeah, there's some more surprises to come there, is for sure. Yeah, definitely. But I mean, Play My Game, we had such fun writing that and playing that. We just felt that that was the first single to release, didn't we? We really did. So
yeah, and I think a lot of this, not a lot of the songs, but we've definitely gone off a little bit of the beaten path. So we wanted something that people are gonna instinctively hear as us.
Yeah.
And that was what we were like, yeah, that's a proper WM track. So let's lead with that one. And then kind of we just swerve a little bit as we go along, and we've thrown in some different ideas.
Yeah.
So we want to ease people into it with the next singles.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's a banger. It feels
Totally.
so much like us that, you know.
Well, this is it. I'd seen in other interviews you've done, like you spoke to my mate Ryan and Be on the Vibe recently.
Yeah.
And you know, when I saw in that, when you were saying that you'd done stuff like you're saying more off the beaten track, and then when I heard Play My Game, I was like, not too far off the beaten track, but it sounds like there's more to come.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. It, like Grace said, it's just ease people into just slightly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you know, when we spoke before, you mentioned of, you know, bringing in different pedals and different instrumentation stuff. Have you brought in anything else that you haven't done on previous records?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more fuzz. We didn't use fuzz before, so we were actually we were actually anti-fuzz for the first first two albums and the EPs. That's for sure, because we thought, no, it's not us. But then eventually we've kind of evolved into it, and we're like, no, we really love it. So yeah,
I think we were really fixed on like a classic rock sound, guitar tone before.
Yeah.
But yeah, for some reason and it's so weird how things change like this, and this is why like an album is such a like snapshot of time.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden now it's the coolest thing we've ever heard, and before we didn't like it at all. So I don't know how it works, but
like we say, it's like an evolution of sound, isn't it? It's an evolution of us and where we are at that time. I think, yeah.
If we'd done an album now, it'd probably be completely different.
Absolutely. Who knows?
But the thing, isn't it, that the sound doesn't come from the tools you use; it comes from you. So if you putting, you know, if you guys suddenly saying there's a bit more fuzz on this record, it doesn't mean you're suddenly going to go off and do a grunge album. But it's, you know, I mean, it's coming from you guys. So whether you do an acoustic record or one with more fuzz on it, or whatever else instrumentation you might bring into it, it's always just going to sound like you guys, because the music's going to come from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with a bit like cross fingers. Yeah.
We've all crossed fingers on those moments, trust me. I've certainly sat there in rehearsal rooms and gone, I don't even know if this works, but it's in my head, so I'm putting it down.
Definitely.
Like I say, it's about playing and it's about experimenting and just being what you want to be and doing what you guys want to do.
For sure.
Yeah.
So is that, speaking of that, is there any influence you wouldn't bring into When Rivers May then? If you're bringing in fuzz, is there anything you would think that's too far?
Oh, I don't know. You know, we are influenced by quite a lot of different genres, that is for sure.
I do know that I always I've got a Jazzdar, so if anything starts to sound jazzy, I'm like, I can hear it, stop it. And jazz is great, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my thing. And as soon as I hear even like a chord progression that is too jazzy, I'm like, no, stop. It's just not my thing. So that's definitely something that's always been like that. Yeah. That's a big part. And I would say that, like, no, I was never a big fan of like brass sections, but then we did actually have trumpet on the last album, so who knows.
There you go. See, it's all about how you use it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for a jazz fifth instrumental in the next record, Grace. You actually retched at the thought about Grace.
But you say that come the next album, that might all change. No, it might be it. You never know.
That's one thing I don't think is going to change.
We all have our ones that just don't think it's not going to work at all. So what does the rest of the year hold up for you guys, other than the tour and obviously the album coming out and everything else?
Well, it is a case of festivals, touring, the album coming out. We are going to be writing again this year, because what we've decided to do, we're going to break it up a little bit from what we've done, where we've gone into the studio for like 2 or 3 months,
Yeah.
I think what we've decided we're going to do, which might work out better for us, just to break it down to a couple of weeks at a time and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the plan, to be fair.
I think it's been difficult to, as things have got bigger, to kind of go in the studio and just completely focus on new music for so long, because like we're independent little team, and so my sister's our manager, and it's quite difficult to navigate everything. So we're thinking, and then if we kind of get stressed about what's going on in the outside world and not in the studio, it's taking our minds away from what we should be doing. So we're thinking, small chunks, like we're going to go in the studio for 2 or 3 weeks throughout this year, you know, and like 2 or 3 sessions probably of that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. It'd kind of be cool, because instead of being a snapshot of that moment, that sort of those couple of months, it's going to be like a more of a progression throughout the year. So maybe it will have different vibe, because we'll be going through different like touring,
phases of the year.
But we've got some really exciting potential gigs coming up later in the year as well. So as with everything music industry, it's kind of last minute, and so we're just sitting tight and
also we're looking at next year as well. So we've already started planning for next year for different things that are, you know, the irons are in the fire, shall we say. So we'll see.
Wicked. So how do you find you going about the sort of balancing act there? How do you guys find that? Because obviously, like you say, you're an independent sort of team amongst yourselves, and you know, like you say, you're doing a lot with the live streams and everything. But when you're in the studio, how do you find the balancing act of all that? Because I imagine once you're in the studio, that's what you want your focal point to be. Yeah,
I mean, it is quite complicated at times. You get a few days where you think, oh, you know, it's everything is flowing and everything's coming out right. But then, like Grace is saying, if there's other elements coming from the outside that can start affecting you with things, it can not say pull you back, but pull you away, should we say? And so, yeah.
I mean, we've been lucky because my sister's now a manager. There's stuff that we would never have relinquished to anybody else, you know. But like having her, I don't know how I would have coped without that relationship, and also Stewie, Aaron's best mate now, who does all that merch. But you can't even begin to say all the different things that go on. Like it's exactly as we want it. But we have, like, there's totally been points where over the last few months where we've been like, let's go for a walk and not talk about anything. Let's not talk about WRM, because it feels like it's all consuming, and it has been for the last 3 or 4 years, ever since things started to work out. And it is us, like, I mean, I think that's maybe where it's difficult, because it's not work, it's our passion, but it is work. And it's like, it's just really confusing, because it's literally just all consuming, and it's kind of remembering like the other people in our life. Like, we can't just be WRM all the time, you know. So it is like, it's pretty difficult. Well, we're kind of working on that balance this year more.
Absolutely.
But
it's not easy. I can appreciate that. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that once Just Push Play is out of the way, that me and Joe bugger off to Cornwall for as long as we possibly can before I go back to work. You know, just that reset, like you're saying, about just to talk about, not talking about Just Push Play, not talking about my radio show, not talking about plans for next year necessarily, just being us. I mean, it's important to do that.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Because it's kind of more like living in the moment as well, isn't it, rather than everything else that's going on. Totally.
And like you say, like the relationship, you know, like being married as well, we have to remember, we do remember.
But don't forget that, Grace, that's a complete focus.
But it's just like, it's so intense. You do have to like, you know what we're talking about with all what you do. It's just remembering to like chill out a bit in between as well.
And like you say, just be yourselves.
That's it. All right, well, I can't wait for the rest of the record, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in Norwich. So thanks for your time once again. Been an absolute pleasure, as always, to talk to you guys. So at the beginning of the interview, you know how this works by now. It's 5th interview in. I'm going to play my game at the beginning of the interview, but what song of yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Oh, right. Okay. So maybe it could be Like What You See off of the first EP that we released back in 2019. And it was actually our very, very first ever release.
And we're
wasn't it?
putting it in the tour set.
Yeah.
So
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Wicked. I'll go with that. Well, thanks for your time, guys. Good to speak to you again.
And
Cheers,
Julie,
buddy.
good
You
to
look
speak
after
to you.
yourself.
You too,
See you
man.
soon.
Yeah, see you soon, man.